Alright, we're back if you can believe that. Today's Thursday. It's been a whole week since we've been here. It's been such a long time. It's been an absolutely ridiculous amount of time. But that's alright, because we're back. And today is Thursday. It's July 13th, 2017. And let me tell you, this is something I just want to get this out of the way real quick. This was probably one of the hardest days when it comes to finding good news stories. It's probably one of the hardest days there was. You want to know why? I mean, I'm probably sure you know why already. Because every outlet, everything, every article, absolutely everything, Russia, nothing else. Russia. That was all it was. Couldn't find anything else. Absolutely ridiculous. I went even on Breitbart, even on Fox News, everything. Russia. And I'm just at this point, I just could not care less about Russia. I just couldn't. I just could not care less if I tried. You know? I don't think it's possible to care less about Russia at this point, you know? Because here's the thing. It doesn't matter how long this goes on for. It doesn't even matter. Like, the media and the Democrats, like, they're aware at this point that no one's buying the Russia thing. I mean, they know that. They have to know that. But they go on and they just push for it anyway. They don't care. I mean, guys, the Democrats and the media, so completely out of touch. It's absolutely ridiculous. And today I'm going to go through a whole lot of stories that are just going to show how out of touch these people are. Because I have a little bit of the Russia story. I'm not going to talk about the actual, like, what happened that much. I'm going to touch on it just to, you know, just so it looks like I'm not trying to avoid it. I'm going to touch on it. I'm also going to go ahead and talk about Betsy DeVos doing some education reform that is really freaking people out on the left, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. I've got an InfoWars article here that went on and talked about how the Democratic base has no faith in the party, but they don't care. They just keep on doing the thing that the party doesn't. They don't even have their base at this point. They don't even have, like, they're trying to reach out to us. They don't even have their base at this point. Their base doesn't even like them, and now they're gonna try to reach out to us. They can't win anything. They have no idea. I mean, here's the thing: the Democratic Party. The big difference between the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, right, is that Democrats don't know how to win elections, but they know how to fight. So they know how to win local elections, at least when it comes to at least when it comes to deeply Democratic areas like in California. They know how to win there because they love to yell and scream, and it's just a contest of who can yell and scream the most about stupid things like ooh, racism, ooh, sexism, ooh, Russia. That's all they talk about. Like the old Democratic Party platform was 50% racism, 50% sexism. That was just their entire messaging platform, right? And now it's sort of evolved now. It's 25% racism, 25% sexism, and 50% Russia. That's their new platform. So they've changed. They haven't changed that much. So anyway, I also have a little bit of something talking about CNN and what they did a couple weeks ago. Actually, it was just last week. It was only last week how they did their whole blackmail thing, and now it's already old news. I could barely find anyone talking about it. Even on InfoWars, I couldn't find anyone talking about it. How embarrassing is that? Because now everyone's got to talk about Russia, right? Because you can't talk about real scandals. You have to talk about these bullshit manufactured scandals by the fucking media, right? You can't talk about real scandals like the CNN scandals. Of course. Anyway, let's go ahead and start. So, Donald Trump Jr., he decided that he was going to release his emails. So basically what was going on is that there was, I believe there was a report by like the New York Times really reliable news source I know, right? And they put out a little article, and they said, oh, Trump Jr., he met with a Russian lawyer. Okay. So then people were questioning him, and he was like, he made a responsible decision. He made a decision that should be the decision that you make if you're a politician. He's not really a politician, but he's, I guess, close to one. Sure. Related to one. So maybe, but that's besides the point, right? He made the decision that it's what you should do if you're in that kind of position. If you were in the position that he's in, where you have the media going after you and accusing you of things, you know what he did? He did something that Democrats and a lot of Republicans too have no idea how to do. You know what he did? He had displayed some transparency, if you can believe that. I know it's hard to believe, but trust me, it still exists, and this guy did it. So Trump Jr. comes out, he decides, you know what? You want to accuse me of doing these things at the little meeting. Okay. So he tweeted out the emails that related to the meeting. And you would think that, oh yeah, that's responsible, right? I mean, you're a politician, you're not really a politician, but you're in the public eye, and you're being hounded over some kind of, quote, scandal. These Russia scandals are not scandals. Let's be honest. They're not scandals. They're just manufactured, fake-ass fucking narratives just made up by the media. They do their thing, and you know how it is. So it's not really scandals, but let's just pretend that it's scandal for this sake, right? So he did the responsible thing to do. And yet now he's being attacked by absolutely everybody. This is probably one of the worst cases I've seen of just absolute Russia hysteria. I went on YouTube. By the way, I've learned over the past couple of years that I absolutely despise YouTube. I like the website. I like the people on the web. I kind of like the people on the website, but I despise the ownership when it comes to Google. Oh my God, Google! I don't even want to get started with Google. And then we had Google. They put out a little thing. Usually, whenever there's a big story, like a terrorist attack or something like that, they put out a breaking news section on their front page. They put out a breaking news section for this. What are you guys doing? The fucking Twitter. Oh, Twitter. Everything. All the top trending tags. All the fucking moments. Twitter moments. The bullshit like that. Everything. Oh God, it was just never ending. They were making so much out of fucking nothing. That's just that. That's like what they're so good at that. That's like their number one skill. Is taking fucking nothing and just blowing it up. It's not like, this isn't even like an overblown scandal. This is a flat out manufactured scandal, because there's nothing there. If you actually read the emails, there's nothing there. They cling on to, fucking the vague stuff, because that's what they've been doing with this Russia scandal, quote scandal, for the entire time it's been going on. All they know how to do is just vague statements. Ooh, he said this. Ooh, she said that. That's all they know how to do. So in one of the emails, it was like this lawyer, this so-called Kremlin-tide lawyer. Like at this point, like Kremlin-tide. Like at this point, right? It's just these are the people who are always yelling and screaming about racism 24/7, right? And yet with Russia, it's like, if you have any Russian heritage in you, well then you're a Kremlin puppet, pretty much. That's the point that we're at right now. I'm pretty Russian, I guess. I've got some Russian blood in me. I've got some Slavic blood in me. So am I now a Kremlin puppet? Am I now a Putin? Am I now a Kremlin-tide guy on here? No. So they go after this lawyer. She's like, oh yeah, Kremlin-tide. How is she Kremlin side? No, she's Russian. Obviously, everyone in Russia is tied to the Kremlin. Didn't you know? It's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. I mean, could you imagine if it was the other way around? Could you imagine if we had people out there going, "Hey, you know, Democrats. I mean, they're taking a lot of money from Jewish interests. I think you guys. There's something going on there. I think they might be Jewish puppets. What if you ever had that? No, because it's Russians. It's okay, right? Maybe we can investigate the Democratic ties to Jewish financial interests? Can we investigate that? But no, we have to investigate Russia. Russia. We have to investigate them for a crime that we can't even prove happened. Yeah, that's the key, right, to this whole thing. The key to this whole thing is that they can't even prove that anything happened in the first place. Like, they try and pass that off as like a given, right? Like, oh yeah, they obviously hacked the election, right? So it's just a case of who helped them. That's what they've set up. When people on the right argue Russia, the biggest flaw that I see is that they give that up. When you argue from a position of giving in and saying that, oh yeah, they hacked the election, you're already at a disadvantage. You know why you're at a disadvantage? Because of all the speculation and all of the the suspicion that's been brought up by the media. What you need to do instead is you need to go out there and you need to say, look, you can't prove collusion for a crime that you can't even commit, that you can't even prove happened in the first place. How are you going to do that? Like, can you imagine if this was any other crime, right? Say it was like, I don't know, murder. Are you ever going to have a case where you have a murder case, right? Where they're gonna charge someone for murder, even though they couldn't even prove that there was a murder in the first place. They couldn't even prove that anyone was even killed. So they're gonna go and charge someone for murder, even though they can't even prove that anyone even died in the first place. It doesn't make sense when you compare it to other things. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't work. And nobody in the Republican Party is buying it, except for, of course, our congressmen, our so-called representatives, right? So-called representatives. They believe it. Trust me, they believe it. But no one else does. The Democratic base is sort of, they're starting to pick up. I used to say that it was about half. I think it's more now. I think more and more of them are starting to buy this whole Russia thing. Because I even went on the comments. I saw a Secular Talk video. Kyle Kalinske, great guy. I saw a video of his, and he was talking about this whole Trump Jr. email quote scandal. I looked at the comments and it was like, these people have lost their goddamn minds. They're going after Kyle Kalinske for being a Russian puppet. The guy, what's the game? What's the game? Is he a Russian puppet just because he said that there's no evidence of anything with the whole Russia quote scandal? I mean, he's right about that. It's one of the things. That's one of the few things that I agree with him on. But here's the thing. I thought that the conspiracy was that Russia was funding right-wing groups and helping them out. So why would Kyle Kalinske be getting Russian funding? But they don't think about that, right? They don't think about that because they don't care. They don't care about the logic behind it. They only care about, oh yeah, Russia, yeah. Anyone I don't like is a Russian puppet. That's just their logic, right? They go after people. They go after, I saw another comment, and I know that it's weird. I know that you shouldn't base things off internet comments, because people on the internet can be fucking absolutely idiotic. But here's the thing. I saw some comments that were talking about, oh yeah, Breitbart, Trump, oh yeah, communists, right? Communists. Oh yeah, Vladimir Putin, yeah, Russia, Trump, oh yeah, Trump Jr., communists, USSR. Like they've all bought into that neocon mindset, the neocon slash neolib mindset of like they can't get over the fact that the Cold War actually ended several years ago. I mean, not several years ago. I mean, many years ago at this point. They just can't really process that in their like tiny little minds. You know what I mean? They can't really get over that. So the Politico, this Politico article that I brought up that I haven't even talked about yet. I found a Political article. This is the only article that I found that was actually talking about what the Republican base thinks about all this. And that's what, like, every other outlet, they don't care. They just say, you know what they do? They use people like Joe Scarborough, completely out of touch, absolutely has no idea what he's doing, no idea what he's talking about. They use people like Joe Scarborough, and they use that as like, oh yeah, look at this. Joe Scarborough left the Republican Party. You know what that means? That means that the party's turning on him, right? Yep, that means that the party is starting to believe Russia now, because Joe Scarborough left the party, right? If you think that Joe Scarborough represents the base in any way, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. You might. I mean, there's out of touch, but then there's the Joe Scarborough level out of touch. I mean, Joe Scarborough, the guy. He's spent like, if you ever actually watched Morning Joe, which I recommend that you never do, because it's a miserable experience, right? You watch Morning Joe. Like, I don't know how you can watch that in the morning. How can you wake up every morning and turn on Morning Joe and not hate yourself? Because Morning Joe is just like 5 people sitting at a table crying over Trump and Russia for like a couple hours every morning. How can you watch Morning Joe and not hate yourself? I mean, it's the most miserable thing I've ever heard in my entire life. But the thing about Joe is that he's just, if you go on his Twitter account and the things that he says and the people that he endorses, oh god, it's just so embarrassing. I mean, like, he said like, oh yeah, this is what a real conservative looks like. He was like, oh yeah, this is what a real conservative looks like, and he showed like Ana Navarro. Oh, Joe, don't do that. Ana Navarro, you're gonna say, oh yeah, this is a real conservative right here. Fucking Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro, by the way, totally buys the Russia bullshit, right? Ben Shapiro, this so-called intellectual, right? Everyone loves Ben Shapiro because he's such an intellectual, even though he believes the Russia nonsense that there's been no proof of whatsoever. Ben Shapiro is not an intellectual. But these people are just so out of touch with the base, right? The base, this article goes on and talks about how the base, they don't buy any of this. In fact, what they know, and they're right about this, they know that there's collusion between the Democratic Party and the media. That's obvious. So this is the only article that I found. It was just talking about how the grassroots, right, the local level Republicans, they don't buy it. And they're talking about how it's going to be a problem for Democrats because Democrats need to win over people, right? They can't just pander to their base, because right now if they just do that, well, they're going to lose again, because their base is just like LA and New York City, and that's it. That's their base. That's it. It's just cities. They can't win like that. They're not going to win like that. It's just not going to happen. So they need to reach out. But they're not doing that. And they're in for a big surprise. Honestly, at this point, I have no idea who's going to win in 2018 and 2020 at this point. 2018 is probably a bit more up there, because on one hand you have the party of Russia, Russia, Russia 24/7. And on the other hand, you have the party of, yeah, Russia, Russia, yeah. Because it's a party that, excuse me, it's a party that, like, they give in so easily. Like, they're like the same, they're the Democrats, but they're just less passionate about Russia. They say the same things, they're just not as passionate about it. They're not as sure about it. They're a bit more timid when they talk about Russia, but they say the exact same things. Don't get me wrong. So I don't know who's gonna win. I don't know, because they're both awful. They both don't know what they're doing. Could you imagine if we had a Congress that would that actually cared about healthcare and about education reform and about immigration as much as they cared about Russia? Could you imagine? We would have had a healthcare bill fucking 3 months ago. We would have had an infrastructure bill already. We would have had tax reform already. We would have had funding for the wall already, which we finally got. It took them a long time, though, but we would have had that already. But here's the thing, they don't care about any of that. They only care about Russia, Russia, Russia. That's all they care about. And by the way, you know what else? You know what's embarrassing? I love how the Republican Party, right? They're too weak to defend Donald Trump in DC, but they are sure as hell gonna use him for fundraising. They sent out a little envelope that was like, oh yeah, it was like, donate to the Republican Party to support your president, right? To support Donald Trump. You're gonna use him for fundraising, but you can't even stand up for him this is the easiest thing. It's fucking Russia, Russia, Russia. All you have to do is say, yeah, no evidence. That's all you have to do. Just say, yeah, no evidence. Okay, moving on. That's all you have to say. It's the easiest thing in the world. But you're incapable of doing that. So I don't want to see you guys fundraising off of Donald Trump if you can't even bring yourself to say, yeah, there's no evidence of this. Come on, Russia, there's no evidence. Get over yourselves. Just say that. Why is it so hard for you guys? They don't have any spine. They have no backbone. So they're gonna fundraise off him, but then they can't even answer the easiest of questions. And by the way, I want to mention this Christopher Wray, the new FBI director who's being nominated right now. He gave his his hearing yesterday to the Senate, I believe. And his answer about whether or not Mueller's investigation was a witch hunt, as he said it's not. That's not an answer. Sorry, Chris Wray, you're done. That's it. I mean, you can't say that. You can't fucking say that. I'm not gonna have an FBI director who's gonna sit here and try to fucking tell me that the Russian investigation is not a witch hunt. No. That's not an answer. Christopher Wray, get the fuck out of here. No one's gonna sit. No, I'm not buying it. You're gonna sit there and tell me that Russia is not a witch hunt? Well, then that's disqualifying right there. You can't say that. You can't say that. So Chris Wray is an absolute disaster. The Republican Party is a disaster. But even with all of that going against us, we still have the base. The base still doesn't buy any of this. And you know that the media is gonna be absolutely furious that their bullshit scandals, they're not being bought by the people that they need to believe it if they want to ever win an election, at least recently, ever again. So, that's all I want to say about Russia, because at this point, honestly, I couldn't care less. I just want to talk about other things. I don't give a shit about Russia. At this point, it's just me saying the same things over and over and over again, because it's just the same things over and over and over again. It's just them saying Russia, 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 Russia. So it's just the same story over and over again. Same story over and over. It's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. So I'm gonna move. It was so hard for me to find real stories today. I mean, it was ridiculous. I could not find like real news. Everything was just Russia, Russia, Russia. And I didn't want to do another one of those fucking shows where it's just nothing but Russia, like it was during the Comey hearing, where it was just Russia the entire goddamn show. I don't want to do that. I hate it. It's just so fucking like, I'm over it. It's just the same argument over and over and over again. It's just they say Russia, 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 we say no evidence, and we move on. And then they just say it again a week later. And it never ends. So I'm over it. I'm over it at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to the Betsy DeVos story. So, let's go ahead. So, if you ever wanted to know why the left absolutely despises Betsy DeVos, this is your answer. So I got an article from Time magazine, Time Politics, I believe, and it was talking about the civil rights head of the education department and talking about campus sexual assault, and she made some pretty reasonable comments, but of course, you know, the left, they don't care about reason. They went after her in a major way. So basically, she said that, I'm going to read from the article here. It says here, Candace Jackson, who leads the Education Department's Office for Civil Rights, told the New York Times that for most sexual assault investigations, there is not even an accusation that the accused students overrode the will of a young woman. Of course, this just completely, she said about 90% of them are just bullshit, pretty much. She said that about 90% of these accusations are bullshit, pretty much. And that they're just Title IX, all this ridiculous stuff with Title IX. And we had Betsy DeVos meeting with men's rights groups on campus, the rape epidemic, I put that in quotes, epidemic. And this just goes to show why liberals absolutely hate Betsy DeVos. This is the reason why. Because here's the thing, right? They're absolutely terrified because here's the thing, because the rape accusation is one of their best tools. I mean, they use it all the time on the left. They used it against Trump. They used it against Roger Ailes, Bill O'Reilly, everyone at Fox at some point. They use it against everyone. It's one of their most effective weapons, is the rape accusation. And look, they you know what they've done? There's been a campaign for the past, I don't know, about 10 years or something like that, where they've been trying to redefine a whole load of things, right? They've gone and they've redefined gender. They've redefined racism. And now they've redefined rape. They've changed it from the regular definition of rape, regular rape, to just, it's rape if I don't like it. Or it's rape if, I don't know, I'm drunk. And even though I said yes, I had a shot, so therefore it was rape. Well, okay. Because they use that, and then they can say that about anybody. They can say that about anybody at any point, and there's no punishment if they're ever proven wrong. Think about the Trump allegations, where you had 500,000 women come out and say, I don't know, it's an exaggeration. They can't, obviously, but they came out and they all said, "Oh yeah, he raped me," right? Okay. So there were almost no cases. There were some cases, but there were no settlements. There was nothing. And notice how all the stories go away immediately after the election ends. You know, because it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit stories. Same thing with Bill O'Reilly. Bill O'Reilly was at Fox News. Then the allegations came, and then he got fired, and then they disappeared. Gee, I wonder why. Roger Ailes. They went after Roger Ailes. They said, "Oh yeah, he raped me. He quit," and the allegations, they disappeared. Gee, I wonder why that is. It's just so obvious. It's so obvious. They use this as like a political weapon, and it's disgusting. So now we have Betsy DeVos coming in and saying, "Actually, yeah, maybe we should stop that." Oh, and they flip. They lose their goddamn minds on Twitter. Oh, they lost their goddamn minds, because it's like their tool. It's what they use to attack people they don't like. Is the allegation, the rape allegation, and it's so disgusting. It's so disgusting. But you know what you gotta do here. I mean, all she said, all Betsy DeVos even said about this was just, "Hey, maybe we should have like due process and like innocent until proven guilty." Oh, they lost it. They can't handle that, because like in their mind, like rape is like a done deal immediately after a woman says something about it. Like, oh yeah, she accused somebody, therefore they're guilty. End of discussion. Even questioning that is sexist. that's literally what that's like their logic. They're just like, oh my god, they're freaking out over Betsy DeVos saying, "Hey, how about due process?" That's an idea. They're freaking out over that. They're freaking out over her saying, "Hey, you know, maybe we have innocent until proven guilty." You know, that's a radical idea, right? These people are so ridiculous. They're so ridiculous. How are you gonna... How can you argue against that? I mean, look. You can say whatever you want about the so-called rape epidemic on college campuses, even though it's not a thing. You can say it, even if you said that it is. Is your solution to just prosecute everyone who's accused by default? It's like that's what they want. It's like that's what they want. Like, they accuse somebody, and the notion that their accusation can be false, just the idea that they could be lying, that is just a travesty to them, right? Like, the idea that, like, hey, maybe this guy isn't guilty. Maybe we, you know, have a trial and prove what happened and see if he's innocent or guilty. That's offensive to them. No, you can't have that. Sorry. You can't have trial. Sorry, there's no trial. I accused you, therefore you're guilty. That's the end of the story. That's what they believe, right? That's their thing. Like, what could the explanation possibly be? What else could they possibly mean when they go after her over saying maybe we should have due process on college campuses? Because basically, right, Obama, he had some rules for college campuses, and his rules were nonsense. It set up these like informal college courts where they didn't really have to follow regular laws. So due process, nothing. There was none of that. So basically, if you were accused, you were guilty immediately, and you were expelled, and you had your life pretty much ruined, and you couldn't do anything about it, because that was the decision of the campus court, right? And now we have people going after Betsy DeVos for wanting to undo that. And they're saying that actually, they're arguing that actually, the Obama rules were actually fairer. If you're gonna say that those rules are fairer, I can't think of any other explanation than that you hate due process. I mean, what else could it possibly be? What else could it possibly be? Because they don't. It's a touchy subject, right? I know it's a touchy subject. I understand. I get it. But here's the thing. Just because it's a sensitive topic doesn't mean that you just fucking lock up everyone that you suspect did something. No, you can't do that. You can't do that. It's so ridiculous. You can't fucking do that. You can't just lock people up because you say they did something. And they're completely outraged that someone actually said, hey, maybe we should have innocent until proven guilty, until just guilty, and that's it. That's what they want, right? They didn't even want guilty until proven innocent. They just want guilty. They want nothing else than just guilty. In their mind, if it's anything but guilty, well, then they're a victim, right? If they go to court and they lose the case, well, they're a victim because they were obviously guilty. I mean, why would I say why would I say they're guilty if they weren't guilty, right? So obviously they were guilty just because I said they are. That's like what else? Like, I feel like I'm being harsh, right? I feel like I'm being hard on them. I feel like maybe they have some kind of reasoning behind this. But what could it possibly be? Other than just, you don't want due process. That's the only reason I can think of why anyone would be outraged by this. It's ridiculous. So, this just goes to show why people on the left, they hate Betsy DeVos, because this is their big thing. The allegations, that's their big thing. And Betsy is now, she's reforming education in a way that, like, we've needed for a long time, right? Especially with higher education. She's doing a lot of reforms when it comes to how they handle these allegations, how they handle all of their bullshit social policies. So she's making some progress on there, and no one's even talking about that. But people on the left, oh my god, they are outraged. They're outraged that this is even a thing. You're telling me that I can't just accuse someone of a crime and have them immediately locked up? You're saying I gotta have a trial? You're saying I gotta have due process? That's offensive. That's offensive. That's sexist. That's sexist. That's sexist. That's sexist. Alright. That's what I gotta say about that. It's honestly a joke. It's honestly a joke. I mean, honestly, I don't understand how anyone can even defend that. I saw the Twitter moment about that. I didn't want to bring it up because it's just, silly. It's Twitter. I mean, come on, it's silly. But it was so silly. I mean, you had all these Democrats and all these liberals just freaking out over the notion that, like, they have to prove the crimes that they accuse people of. Like, oh, that's just offensive to them. It's just so silly. Like, how transparent can they even be? Like, if you're gonna go after due process, like, at least pretend that you're for it, right? At least pretend that, like, oh no, we have an actual reason for this, right? At least pretend. Don't just flat out say, like, oh yeah, due process. We just hate due process. We just can't stand it. They're so silly. And it's things like this that's gonna cost them in 2020, in 2018. Because let me tell you, Democrats, it doesn't make you look good. I hate to tell you, but having universal outrage because someone said we should have due process doesn't make you look good. Doesn't make you look good at all. Yelling and screaming about Russia 24/7 doesn't make you look good at all. Doesn't make you look good at all. So this poll here just goes to show us. I'm gonna go ahead and get into this. So I got an article here from Infowars, and there was a poll that was done by Delphi Analytica. They did a poll, and they asked Democrats and Independents who they thought had the best chance to beat Trump in 2020. So it says here that these are some pretty amazing numbers. Only 4% of respondents said that Hillary Clinton has the best chance of beating Trump in 2020. And here's the big thing. 50% say that no candidate has a chance of beating Trump in 2020. How amazing is that? Even the Democratic base, even they see through the bullshit of the Democratic Party. And here are some of the choices that were on the list, list of people that where they asked them who would have the best chance of beating Trump. It said here, Joe Biden, Elizabeth Warren, Pocahontas, Cory Booker, Hillary Clinton, and Mark Zuckerberg. You're gonna talk about Mark Zuckerberg? This isn't even a joke, right? This is a real thing. And I think I might have covered it at some point. I don't remember. But a lot of Democrats want Mark Zuckerberg to run in 2020. Guys, you're gonna lose. You can't do that. You can't run Mark Zuckerberg. You can't do that. You just can't. That's so silly. You guys understand that, you're viewed as the big tech company party for a reason, right? You have big companies like Google and Apple and Microsoft, right? They're all on your side. And you're all puppets. But you're gonna, let me tell you, if you run Mark Zuckerberg, you're gonna be the biggest joke of all time. Honestly, because it's already a joke that you're puppets of the tech companies. You're gonna run Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg appeals to absolutely nobody. He tries to appeal to the Midwest voters and to the middle class and to the working class. He just can't do it. Because he's Mark fucking Zuckerberg. He can't appeal to the middle class. He's Mark fucking Zuckerberg. Come on. You can't possibly believe that he's gonna be a good choice, right? You can't believe that. That's a joke, right? So everyone on this list is just a horrible idea. Joe Biden, he seems like a good idea, right? But the thing is, he's never really been in the public eye that much. He's been vice president. He's never really been scrutinized that much. I can guarantee you, if he ran and he went through the scrutiny that everyone goes through when they run for president, he wouldn't stand a chance. This guy Joe Biden, he's got a goofy persona. He's got a friendly persona. And then he goes on during a rally and he says that he wants to take Trump behind the gym. Does anyone remember that? I find it hilarious, by the way, that he said that, and there's no media coverage at all, right? The media is completely, they're silent. The vice president said, I want to take Trump behind the gym. And yet, Trump tweets out a video of CNN, the CNN logo, getting beat up in fucking WrestleMania, of all places. And the media, incitement of violence. Could you imagine if Trump ever said that? Could you imagine if he went out there and said, oh yeah, I want to take fucking Wolf Blitzer behind the gym. I want to take fucking Jake Tapper behind the gym. Could you imagine if he said that? The media outrage would just never end. It would never end. But, Joe Biden does it. Oh, and that's just Joe Biden being funny, That's just Joe Biden being Joe Biden, He's a real jokester. Like here, I don't really care that he said that. I do care though that the media has this double standard where he says that as the vice president, totally fine, totally okay. You want to take him behind the gym, have a nice fight, that's okay. You can say that all you want, but don't you dare post a GIF of you punching the CNN logo. That's terrorism right there. They called it terrorism. There was an article that said that the people who make those memes like that are terrorists. Guys, what are you doing? Moving on. I can't talk about that anymore. Moving on to Elizabeth Warren. Oh no, don't do that. People on the left, right? They say, oh yeah, Elizabeth Warren is a real populist. She's gonna really win over those Midwest voters, right? Elizabeth Warren is not a populist. She's not a populist at all. She's just a standard Democrat. Pocahontas. She's all into the whole Russia thing. She's got all the she's adored by the establishment. They always say that they're so anti-establishment. They're adored by the establishment. Give me a break. I mean, like, and she doesn't have charisma either. Like, she doesn't have good ideas. She doesn't have charisma either. Like, when she did her speeches for Hillary, that didn't fucking help Hillary. What? When she did her fucking goofy tweet storms, where she would do that, like, during the campaign, she would do these goofy ass tweet storms, like, every month about Trump. And they were all just, like, bitchy, and, like, they were just awkward. Like, you sound like a fucking angry mom. You sound like a fucking school teacher. Like, calm yourself. That's the thing, like, they can't escape this whole school teacher persona. Especially the fucking media, where they go after people who post memes online. And they act like it's like their valiant fight against cyber terrorism. They call it cyber terrorism because they're fucking memes. But, I mean, Elizabeth Warren, she does, like, I can't say much about her because she hasn't done anything. She's not done anything, like, real. She hasn't really, like, what has she done besides be called Pocahontas by Donald Trump during the campaign? And besides go out there and, go to the Hillary rallies and, fail to rally support for her. I mean, that's really what it is. I mean, she failed to rally the support. She was meant to be, like, this big, like, Democratic base, like, oh yeah, they love her, right? So go out, have her campaign for Hillary, and it'll work. She went out there and campaigned for Hillary and didn't do her shit. Warren doesn't have charisma. She doesn't have anything. So the idea that, like, oh yeah, Warren's gonna win it for us, right, in 2020. There's no basis behind it. There's nothing. She's just, she's Elizabeth Warren. She goes on these weird tweet storms about Trump every now and then. She talks about the persistence. You get it? Because Mitch McConnell said that she persisted. See? Persistence. Get it? Because Mitch McConnell, he said persistence. Persistence. You get it? You get it? Buy my shirt. Right? They always do that. Whenever you have an incident like that, whether it was the nasty woman, or the woman card, or the persistence, they go and they turn that into, like, a fucking slogan. And then they sell t-shirts about it. Like, stop. You guys are so, like, if you're gonna sell, it just feels so manufactured. Like they sat in a boardroom and they said, alright, how do we handle what they said about us? I got it. We'll make a shirt that has what they said about it on there. See, it's clever because it's what they said. See, it's clever because it's what they said, and it's on a T-shirt. See, it's clever because it's what they said, and it's on a T-shirt too. Yeah, it's clever because it's what they said, and it's on a T-shirt. See, it's clever. It's clever. It's so embarrassing. So Warren is not a thing. Cory Booker. I'm from New Jersey. Cory Booker is a disaster. Moving on. Hillary Clinton. Come on. You know how that's gonna go. And Mark Zuckerberg. Come on. It's Mark fucking Zuckerberg. You're gonna run Mark Zuckerberg? Please. I want to see them run Mark Zuckerberg. Because I want to see them lose in a landslide. I want to see them run any of these people and lose in a landslide. The Democratic Party has nothing. They don't know what they're doing. They know how to yell and scream about Russia, but they don't know how to do anything else. And they don't know how to win elections. So this just goes to show that the base has no confidence in the party at all. And they are right to have no confidence because they have no idea what they're doing. I'm going to go ahead. I want to finish off on this CNN blackmail scandal. It's a scandal. It's not like the Russia scandal where it's manufactured and bullshit. It's a real scandal. I know the media doesn't know what the hell that is, because whenever there's a real scandal, they ignore it. But when there's fucking manufactured scandals like Russia, oh, they will never, ever end. It never ends. They will talk about Russia till the end of time. They don't know how to stop. They don't know how to stop. And I have an article here, and it's so disgusting. I don't even know where to start. It's just so nasty. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start. So I'm not sure if anybody remembers, but a week ago, CNN stalked and harassed and threatened a 15-year-old teenager over an internet meme. And of course, what happened? Well, the media was completely silent. Even Fox News. I found one article about it, and that was it. No, that's not how it's gonna go. The media, you can't just bury that. Sorry, it's so slimy. They bury that. They buried it. And then, even if you ever had someone in the press talk about it, it was praising the guy. The guy's name is Andrew Kaczynski, I believe. I believe that's how you pronounce it. But Andrew Kaczynski, this guy is so disgusting. You're gonna defend what he did? You're gonna defend that? You're not even just defending it. You're gonna applaud it. You're gonna applaud that? You're going to defend and then applaud that. Just go here. Just go to his Twitter account. Look at his liked tweets, and look at all of the slimy, smug journalists, so-called journalists, just heaping praise on him. So here's the thing. I want the press to make a decision. Because they cannot be. Like, they like to pretend. They play fucking make-believe, and they play dress-up, and they say, oh yeah, we're like fucking superheroes. We defend the American people from threats like fascism and Donald Trump. We fight for the American people. and we also attack them if they go against us. Like, people forget that, like, no, people don't forget. People on the left forget, and the neocons forget, but we don't forget. We don't forget what happened. We don't forget the fact that CNN, they're gonna go after a private citizen, a 15-year-old. They say he's 40, which is they just say he's 40. They don't have anything to back that up. They just say he's 40. Okay, no, they just say he's 40. But anyway, they go after this guy. He's a private citizen. They did this on the 4th of July. This guy is just trying to enjoy his 4th of July. He's trying to have a good time with his family. He's trying to enjoy probably a barbecue. Who knows? He's trying to have a good time on the 4th of July, like everybody else in the country. And then he gets a fucking phone call from Andrew Kaczynski. By the way, it just goes to show, this is how journalists spend their 4th of July. Fucking calling up teenagers and threatening them over memes on the internet, saying they're going to use the power of their company to attack these people, these private citizens. If you're on the so-called populist left, and if you're one of the people on the left who always goes after corporations, and you always say, oh yeah, corporate greed and corporate crime and white collar crimes, and we got to go after the corporations, we got to hold them accountable. If you're on the so-called populist left and you say that, well, then you also need to go after CNN here. How are you going to say that you are going to hold big corporations accountable, but you can't even go after them for attacking private citizens and threatening them online, and threatening to use the power of their corporation to ruin their lives? Well, you're not a populist at all. You're not populist, because populism means standing up to corporations and stuff like that, and fighting for the people over the corporations. But if you're going to defend CNN, well, then you're just saying, yeah, I'm okay with the big corporations just attacking private citizens over, not even over like it's not even like he leaked things. He didn't leak things. He didn't, it's not like he published a negative story about CNN. He made a meme. Not even like an elaborate meme. A fucking GIF where it's Trump at WrestleMania punching the face of the CNN logo. And this article in USA Today, they go after people who are defending him. It's this long article where they said that they went and they said that CNN, that this is them doing their job. Okay, here's the thing. If it's the job of the press to do shit like this, well, then I don't want to press. Sorry, I don't want to press in that case. Now, here's the thing. It's not their job. It's not their job at all. So I do want the press. I want a good press. I don't want a press that's going to do shit like this. I mean, could you imagine if the founding fathers, if they wrote press freedom into the First Amendment? Could you imagine if they saw that in a couple hundred years they're gonna see this gigantic media corporation going after teenagers over internet memes? They would probably rethink press freedom in that case. Now look, I'm all for press freedom, but I'm also for holding the press accountable. Because here's the thing. If anyone else did what CNN and Kaczynski did, they'd be in jail. They'd be in jail. End of discussion. Because you can't just stalk and threaten and harass a teenager, A 15-year-old. If anyone else did that, they would be in jail right now for stalking and for harassment and for making threats and for blackmail. A minor? You're gonna blackmail a minor? And you're gonna defend CNN. You're gonna defend them and say they were doing their job. So this just goes to show. I mean, it was so hard for me to find this story. It was so hard for me to find anything about this CNN story. And it's so sad. Because they got away. They got away with it. There was such a backlash, right? There was such a bipartisan backlash. Absolutely everyone went after CNN, right? There was such a backlash. It was number one, trending number one on Twitter. There was go to the App Store right now. If you have Apple, if you have an iPhone, go to the App Store and look at the CNN app. Look at the reviews. CNN, they had to delete their app and repost it just because there were so many negative reviews. They had to get Google to delete negative reviews on the Google Play Store because there were just so many. Guys, CNN, you cannot defend CNN anymore. There was such a grassroots, there was such an intense backlash after what they did. And yet the media was silent. Social media was silent, the companies themselves. The companies suppressed the post about what happened. They suppressed it. Everyone was silent. There was suppression. There was censorship. And then what happened? It just died out. It died out. The new Russia bullshit scandal came out. And now they're focused on that. They should have put the amount of coverage that they put into Trump Jr.'s so-called email scandal into the CNN scandals between the leaked videos and now this. They should have put the same amount of energy. If we had a real press, they would have put more energy into the CNN scandals than they did into these nonsense so-called Russia scandals. It's an embarrassment to journalism, honestly. I don't even want to hear anyone saying that CNN and the mainstream media is real news, because this just goes to show that they're not only just fake news, they're also just horrible people. They're just disgusting people with no morals, no fucking values whatsoever. They're morally bankrupt, they're corrupt, they're smug, they're slimy, and they're disgusting. Alright. They're disgusting. I mean, I just can't, I can't feel any sympathy for the people who defend CNN in this. I just can't. I mean, I just can't. You can't defend CNN here. You can't defend CNN here. You can't go after Betsy DeVos for what she's doing. It's common sense. I mean, people just I don't get it. I just don't get it. If you still defend CNN, well, you're just a bad person. Sorry. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and end right here. It's over an hour at this point. But yeah, that was the show. Tomorrow I'm gonna try again. I was gonna do this last week, but I wasn't on Friday, so I'm gonna try this again tomorrow. I don't know if you noticed, but I'm on a new schedule now, so I'm doing things a little bit earlier. I changed things around in my personal schedule just to make sure that I could get these episodes out with sort of a more consistent basis, because I really wasn't doing that. So hopefully now I should be able to not really have any of those sudden breaks like I used to have. And I also, if you noticed, also my background fan, that's not there anymore. So it's painful though. It's it's absolutely, it's so hot in this room now without that thing. But you know what? It's for the quality of the video, you know what I mean? It's for the quality of the videos. So, I'm gonna go ahead and right there. Tomorrow, I'll be doing my first award show. It'll be a great time. It'll be a great time. It'll be a fantastic day. It'll be a great day for everybody. We'll give out some awards. We'll go ahead and laugh at some people, laugh at some corruption, laugh at some lies. It'll be a great time. It'll be a real blast. So anyway, I will see you then. So anyway, thank you for watching, and yeah, I'll see you tomorrow.